On this week's Tuesday Talk, we are answering a question from a viewer about staying spontaneous, but dealing with crowded campgrounds during the summer months.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm the spontaneous one. I like to fly by the seat of my pants, but you cannot always do that.
No.
When you're on the road,
Especially in the summer.
You gotta park your rig somewhere, and the larger your rig, the more important it's going to be to have something lined up, to have a place to go.
Yeah.
And some backups.
Yes, exactly. So we're not even going to talk about boondocking in this video. We try to boondock as much as we can, but we're specifically going to touch on campgrounds and the fact that during the summer, especially in the areas we've been in, which is Oregon and
the high season, really.
Yeah. They're busy. The campgrounds can be booked up weeks, if not months in advance. And how do you deal with that? Somebody asked, do we do first come, first serve campgrounds? We have, and we would if it were what we were looking for, but it's not necessarily what we aim for. Put it that way.
Yeah, we like to have a spot reserved. If we're doing the campground thing, we like to have a spot reserved so we know where we're going. We know we're going to have a place to stay. First come, first serve, that sometimes works, but then again, it sometimes doesn't.
If we were going to do a first come, first serve, we do the same thing which we do with boondocking, which is leave early enough in the morning to get there before the afternoon and try to arrive in the middle of the week. That would be how we would aim at getting into a first come, first serve campground.
Yeah.
When we are trying to get to specific areas and we want a campground because A, we've been boondocking for so long and we'd like some hookups, or the weather's supposed to be really hot and we need electric, or we need to be close to a certain place because we have family,
or it's cloudy and we need hookups instead of solar.
Yeah, those are the main reasons we'll look for campgrounds. And if we're looking for campgrounds, we're going to try to get a reservation, especially if we need electric, because we actually need it. And when that happens, we scramble a little bit. So in general, we kind of are looking out about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes a little bit farther if we know something is coming up as to where we need to be. And 2 to 3 weeks, we found we can still find camp spots, even in the busy time, during the week. It is the weekends that can get very difficult, and it can be harder to find a camp spot in a campground. They're already booked up.
We could stay Monday through Friday, but then Saturday and Sunday, and through Friday, I mean we leave Friday, not Friday night.
Yeah, so Friday and Saturday night can be tough. And
Sunday night's easier.
Yes, it can be, yes.
Sunday night, yeah.
So let's see, some of the things we've done. We stayed right on the Oregon coast for an entire week. We booked that about a month and a half in advance because we knew where we were going to be because we had family in the area. We did the same thing coming up. We're going to be near the Tetons for Labor Day. Labor Day, 4th of July, and Memorial Day, we will have booked at a campground.
Holidays.
We're going to book
especially
in advance.
The Northwest.
We're going to know where we're going to be because we don't want to have to deal with not having a place to stay. And those are the absolute busiest weekends.
4th of July in Tucson won't have any problem.
It's true. It's only during the high season.
4th of July in the Northwest or on the coast, you might have a problem.
Yeah. So those we try to book up farther in advance. Then there's times when it's just like, oh, we think we'd like to go to Idaho Falls, which just happened. Let's see if there's a campground nearby. Oh, well, we can't really find a campground that has laundry, which is what we were looking for, but hey, look at this place. It's cheap and has full hookups. Oh, look at that. They have openings during the week. That is kind of how that went.
Jefferson County Lake.
Jefferson County Lake.
Awesome campground, by the way.
We did the same thing in Oregon where we booked about a week and a half, 2 weeks in advance during Monday through Friday to be at a state park near the waterfalls in the Columbia River Gorge. Then we had an issue though because we booked a site with no hookups and the heat wave came. And there was no way we were going to be able to stay there that whole week without hookups.
Like 90s.
Luckily, we were able to get a spot at the KOA. Again, only Monday through Friday, and we booked that the week before. We were quite lucky to find that. But it does show that even during high season, if you're willing to go during the week, not on the weekend, you can still find camp spots, even in the really busy
That's right.
campgrounds. Not all of them. Some of them were completely booked. I will freely admit that. The other thing we've been told is a lot of the state parks, they'll get cancellations. I mean, we canceled ours a few days before we went.
That's true.
And because they don't have very strict reservation cancellation fees, a lot of people will book them just on the off chance that they're going to go and then cancel because they're only going to lose $10 if they cancel in enough time. And so keep an eye out. If you want to be in a specific park, keep an eye out on the website or on the phone number that they have you call. Call often to see if you can get a site, because somebody might cancel and you might be in luck.
It's just like cruises. I mean, if you're willing to go last minute, you can find really cheap availabilities.
Yeah,
and I mean, the same thing is generally true with campgrounds. If your schedule is flexible enough where you can go in a day's notice, maybe two, you're going to open up your possibilities a little bit. But I mean, it is luck too. Sometimes nothing will open up, but sometimes it does. You never know.
So we tend to have multiple backup plans, including getting these reservations. If we can't, then maybe going someplace else. We are not set on a specific route, so if we can't find a place to stay and it's getting hot, we change where we're going. We had no plans to go to Sun Valley, Idaho, until the weather changed.
We just follow the weather, and that's why you full-time
Exactly.
RV. You follow the weather, so you're always in, well, nice enough weather. There's always going to be exceptions.
Yes.
Like the heat wave.
Yes, exactly. So we are lucky enough that we can stay flexible with our lifestyle, and that allows us to pick and choose and do what we need to do. I was going to say something.
Oh, we were going so well.
I know.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Oh, got it. Someone mentioned in a previous comment on another video, if you really love it so much, why are you leaving? This is why. Sometimes we make reservations. We've only made them like 2 weeks in advance, sometimes farther, but we have some reservations booked. And if you got them, we go. We're not going to waste the money if we're going to lose the camp spot or lose our money. And so even though we loved Sun Valley, we had our spot in Idaho Falls picked out at that lake, and you didn't get any of your money back if you canceled, and so we left. And it turned out wonderful because we loved Jefferson County Lake.
You know, that's an interesting topic for another Tuesday talk, actually. If you love it so much, why leave? But when you travel, that's what you do. You go from place to place, you see new things, you enjoy new places, experience the local restaurants and breweries and whatever happens to be there, hiking trails. There's nothing wrong with leaving, even if you like where you are. And there's always next year. We could always come back to some of our favorite places and enjoy them all over again.
It's very true. It's very true. So that's a little bit about how we deal with the fact that during the summer months, things can get very booked up. But we are still trying to live pretty spontaneously and not planning too many things way out in advance.
That's right.
Kind of staying flexible, looking ahead a week or two and booking if we know we want to go there, keeping an eye on the weather, and being willing to completely change our schedule if we need to, and we can't find campgrounds with electric or whatever.
Yeah. And that certainly does happen.
Yes, it does.
It makes it fun.
It does make it fun. So that's it for this week's Tuesday Talk. If you have a question for a future Tuesday Talk, please leave them in the comments below, because we are always looking for new ideas. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you have any tips or tricks about finding camping during the busy season, we'd love to hear them. So leave those in the comments below as well, because we're still learning, and it's always good to hear how others deal with the challenges of living life on the road.
Yes, always fun to hear.
Subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you next week for another Tuesday Talk. Bye, guys.
Bye.